Welcome back to Goodnight Lighthouse. I'm Miss Dorothy, and I'm here to read you another story. And I've got a fun book tonight about Thanksgiving. I am really excited that Thanksgiving is coming, and I have a really fun book that I want to share with you. It's called Thanksgiving at the Tappletons. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons. The Tappletons are a family who love getting together for Thanksgiving. But when they get together, not everything goes as planned. It's going to be a silly, fun book to read as we're all getting ready for Thanksgiving. We need to get inside this book and find out what happens at Thanksgiving at the Tappletons. Are you ready to get inside this book with Miss Dorothy? Good. I need you to sit up and listen up, because here we go. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons by Eileen Spinelli, illustrated by Marianne Coca-Leffer. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons was always a big day. Thanksgiving at the Tappletons meant, of course, the Tappleton family. Mr. Tappleton, Mrs. Tappleton, Jenny Tappleton, Kenny Tappleton, and Grandmother and Grandfather Tappleton, and Aunt Hedda and Uncle Fritz, and most certainly, of course, the turkey and trimmings. It's a little family album of all the people that get together for Thanksgiving and a picture of the turkey. It was still dark when Mrs. Tappleton lit the oven and took the big turkey out of the refrigerator. Just then, someone knocked at the kitchen door. It was Mike the milkman. "Good morning, Mrs. Tappleton. I thought you might like some eggnog for the holiday." As Mrs. Tappleton reached for the eggnog, the turkey slipped from under her arm. Now, on a warmer day, this might not have been a problem. But this Thanksgiving day was quite cold, and the step was covered with ice. Oh no, she dropped the turkey. Before she or Mike could even think, the turkey had slithered into the yard. "Get it!" shouted Mrs. Tappleton. Mike reached out, but the turkey skidded past him, through the gate, and into the tree. "Hurry!" screamed Mrs. Tappleton. "Stop that turkey!" Oh no, her Thanksgiving turkey is sliding away on the ice. The milkman chased the turkey. Mrs. Tappleton chased the milkman, and the turkey slid down the hill and into the pond. Plop! Splash! It bubbled out of sight. No, the turkey is gone. When Mr. Tappleton came down to breakfast, he took a long sniff. "I don't smell turkey," he said to his wife. "Of course you don't smell turkey," she replied. "You have a cold." "I don't have a cold," he insisted. "Achoo!" Mrs. Tappleton shook some pepper in the air. Her husband sneezed. "Achoo!" "See," she said, "you do have a cold." Mrs. Tappleton made him sneeze. She doesn't want him to know that there's no turkey for him to smell. After breakfast, Mr. Tappleton put on his coat and scarf and hat and gloves. "I'm going to the bakery to buy our pies." Mrs. Tappleton handed him his boots. "Wear these," she said. "I know for a fact it is quite slippery out today." Of course she does. That's how she lost the turkey. Sim's bakery was so crowded, the line reached out onto the sidewalk. Mr. Tappleton hated to wait in long lines, so he went to the diner for a cup of coffee. He didn't want to wait in the line, so he went to have some coffee, probably waiting for the line to go down some. By the time he got back, the long line was gone, and so were the pies. No pumpkin, no mince, no rhubarb, nothing. Mr. Tappleton was afraid to go home with nothing. "2 boxes tied up with string, please," he said. Mrs. Sim stared at him. "You mean 2 empty boxes?" "That's right," said Mr. Tappleton. "My, they feel light," remarked Mrs. Tappleton. "Certainly they are light," reported Mr. Tappleton. "Mrs. Sims prides herself on how light her pies are." "Oh, no. She doesn't want to tell him she lost the turkey. He doesn't want to tell her he didn't get the pies. This is not going to go well." Mrs. Tappleton set the table. She called to her son, "Kenny, you may make the salad. There's lettuce in the crisper and carrots and radishes too." Kenny's face grew pale. Just yesterday he had emptied the crisper and fed all the vegetables to the rabbits in Mr. Butterworth's class. How could he tell his mother? He couldn't. So he covered the empty salad bowl with aluminum foil and stuck it back in the refrigerator. Oh no! Now there's no turkey, there's no pies, there's no salad, and nobody knows. When the others went to pick up the relatives at the train station, Jenny stayed behind to mash the potatoes. Every year this was her job. She loved it. This year, she thought, I'll make them even better. I'll use the blender. Just as Jenny flicked on the switch, the phone rang. It was her best friend, Nora. If there was one thing Jenny loved to do better than mashed potatoes, it was talk. Jenny talked and talked and talked to Nora, and she might still be talking today had not a wet glump of something hit her on the back of the head. She turned to see what it was. Splat! Another glump hit her in the face. The blender was going wild, and mashed potatoes were flying everywhere. Jenny wasn't paying attention to her job, and the mashed potatoes are going everywhere. Without even saying goodbye to Nora, Jenny hung up the phone, scrubbed her face, and wiped mashed potatoes from nearly everything in the kitchen. She finished just as the others came back. Uncle Fritz patted his stomach. "I'm hungry," he said. Grandfather Tappleton laughed. "I'm as hungry as an elephant." Everyone sat down at the table. It was a Tappleton tradition for Grandmother to say the Thanksgiving prayer. "As soon as the turkey is ready," she smiled. "I'm as hungry as 2 elephants," said Grandfather. Mr. Tappleton went to the oven. "I'll carve the turkey now." He opened the oven door. Oh no! "The turkey is gone!" Mr. Tappleton searched on the table and under the table and in every kitchen cabinet. He looked into the sink and into the broom closet. "I can't find the turkey anywhere!" Mrs. Tappleton took a deep breath. She told them how their fine turkey had slipped out the door and down the steps and across the yard and through the gate and down the street and plop splash into the pond. "So much for the turkey," said Uncle Fritz, and his stomach rumbled a little louder. "Never mind," said Aunt Hedda good-naturedly. "We'll fill up on the trimmings." Uh-oh. "I'll get the salad," Jenny announced. "Then Grandma can say the prayer." Jenny set the bowl on the table and peered off the aluminum foil. Everyone stared at the salad. That was not there. "I fed the rabbits at school," confessed Kenny. Uncle Fritz looked downright gloomy. "So much for the salad." His stomach rumbled again. "I'm as hungry as 3 elephants," sighed Grandfather. Kenny jumped up. "We'll have Jenny's mashed potatoes." He brought the pot from the kitchen and lifted the lid. "Oh, no." "I was on the phone," said Jenny meekly, "and the blender went wild." So much for the potatoes. Uncle Fritz's stomach rumbled even more. "I'm as hungry as 4 elephants," Grandfather declared. "They've got no turkey, no salad, no mashed potatoes. Everybody's hungry." "The pies!" cried Mrs. Tappleton. "I'll get the pies." "I'll say grace as soon as the pies are cut," Grandmother smiled. Mrs. Tappleton brought in the boxes, set them down, and untied the string. "You brought home 2 empty boxes?" She glared at Mr. Tappleton, who covered his ears. 5 elephants!" groaned Grandfather. The dining room was quiet. Everyone looked down at the empty table. Uncle Fritz muttered something, but it could not be heard above the rumble of his stomach. A tear rolled down Jenny's cheek. "No Thanksgiving dinner," she sniffled. "Nothing to say a prayer for," sighed Kenny. Grandmother smiled. "Of course there is something. There is more to Thanksgiving than a turkey and trimmings." And then Grandmother Tappleton asked everyone to bow their heads and hold their hands around the dining room table. And this is the Thanksgiving prayer she said. "Turkeys come and turkeys go, and trimmings can be lost, we know. But we're together, that's what matters, not what's served upon the platters. Amen." Good job, Grandma. "That was a wonderful prayer," said Aunt Hedda. Mrs. Tapple jumped up. "We have liverwurst and cheese in the refrigerator." "I'll help fix the sandwiches," offered Mr. Tappleton. Jenny wiped away her tears. "I'll get the pickles." Kenny laughed. "I'll open a jar of applesauce for dessert." And so the Tappletons had their Thanksgiving dinner after all. Uncle Fritz's stomach stopped rumbling, and Grandfather Tappleton ate enough liverwurst to feed 6 elephants. In fact, everyone had plenty to eat, but most of all, they had each other. Wow, that was a silly book. Those poor Tappletons, everything went wrong with their Thanksgiving. They lost their turkeys, they didn't get the pie, the mashed potatoes didn't turn out. That was a silly, crazy Thanksgiving. But you know what? It was also great because they all realized they didn't need all that stuff. They just needed to be together. Thanksgiving is about being thankful for what you have. And the best thing that you have is your family. And as long as you guys are together, just like the Tappletons, you will have a wonderful Thanksgiving. You have so much to be thankful for. I'm glad the Tappletons realize that, and I hope you do also. We need to remember this Thanksgiving to be thankful for the people that God has put in our life and all the wonderful things God has given us. You have your mom and your dad, your sisters, your brother, your dog, your cat, aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa, so many people that love you and surround you, and I want you to remember this Thanksgiving to be thankful for them. And tonight, before we go off to bed, I think it would be very appropriate that we thank God for all the things that He has done for us. Would you thank God with Miss Dorothy? Will you pray with me? Good. Fold your hands and close your eyes. Dear God, thank you for everything that you have given us, for our family, our friends, our teachers, our school, our home, our beds, all the things that are just blessings that you pour upon our lives. Thank you so much. Help us to remain thankful and to remember that no matter what happens or what goes wrong, as long as we're surrounded by the people we love and we know we have you watching over us, we have so much to be thankful for. Help us to remember that this Thanksgiving. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, little turkey, time for you to head off to bed. I need you to slide under those covers, get cuddled up, curled up, give mom and dad lots of hugs and kisses. Tell them thank you for everything that they do for you. And remember, a really, really wonderful way to show how thankful you are each and every day, obey and obey right away. And come back and see Miss Dorothy because I'm going to be sitting right here waiting to read a book to you. Bye!